Thank you and welcome to Outstanding 2020. I'm Bear Bergman and I have the privilege of hosting the program this evening. Before we jump in, just a few quick notes about the platform Shindig. First, for people who'd like to see closed captioning, please click on the closed captioning button in the bottom left corner of your screen, and a new window will open and then you'll be able to view the live transcription. Next, tonight's event is best viewed in full screen. If your computer isn't already showing full screen, you can hover over my window and click on the two arrows pointing in opposite directions here in the top right to expand it. Now, let's get to the reason we're all here. Keshet. Keshet is working to make every Jewish community in the country a place where LGBTQ Jews and our families can feel at home. Keshet is the only organization in the United States that works for LGBTQ equality in all facets of Jewish life, not just synagogues and Hebrew schools, but day schools, youth groups, summer camps, social service organizations, and other communal agencies. Through training, advocacy, and resource development, Keshet partners with clergy, educators, and volunteers to equip them with the tools and the knowledge they need to be effective agents of change. Keshet trains leaders to build Jewish communities where queer people feel not just tolerated, not just included, but to have a true sense of belonging. Keshet creates spaces where LGBTQ Jewish teens can feel safe and whole and powerful, and mobilizes Jewish community to support LGBTQ equality, not just within our Jewish communities, but to fight for LGBTQ rights in the broader world. I don't need to tell you that this has been a challenging year on many levels. Keshet, like a lot of organizations, has had to shift to online training programs and creatively imagine how to support the youngest members of our community. As we're celebrating the outcome of the election, we also have to recognize there's still a lot of work to be done, particularly in support of our transgender family members. At least 33 trans, non-binary, or gender non-conforming people were killed in 2020 in the US alone. Trans Day of Remembrance is Friday, November 20th. And I would like to invite you to take a moment of silence as I light this candle for our community, to remember those we've lost, and to vow in their memory to never stop fighting for a world where all of us can live in safety and dignity. If you click on the left of your screen, you can find Keshet's Transgender Day of Remembrance resources, as well as information about a panel being held tomorrow in conjunction with the World Congress of LGBT Jews. The world of Keshet has clearly been a beacon, a light, and a catalyst in the lives of hundreds of thousands of queer and trans Jews and allies. Tonight, we'll honor 3 people who have helped us to light the way forward. And the success of this evening isn't just about what happens here in the little boxes tonight, how much you learn or how much you're inspired. It's also about the choices you make when you leave. If we can ignite you to know more and do more for and with Keshet in our work for LGBTQ equality in Jewish life, it will truly be a light, truly a night to celebrate in the months that are to come. Tonight's event is also a testament to the leadership of our honorary chairs, Rabbi Sharon Kleinbaum and Randy Weingarten, Rabbi Joshua Lesser, and Rabbi Danya Ruttenberg, and our outstanding host committee members. Outstanding both in that it's the name of the gala and that each of them is truly outstanding. You can check out the program book link on your screen for a full list of those exceptional individuals, and special thanks to all of you. To begin our program, I'm so excited to welcome my dear friend, Rabbi Danya Ruttenberg, an honorary chair of tonight's event, who was named by Newsweek as one of 10 rabbis to watch, and by The Forward as one of the top 50 most influential women rabbis. She's an award-winning author and writer, and currently serves as the scholar in residence at the National Council of Jewish Wisdom. I said Jewish Wisdom. The actual title of the organization is the National Council of Jewish Women, but I think perhaps that was not so much an error as just the truth of what that organization does. Rabbi Ruttenberg will start us off with a kavanah, or intention, for our celebration tonight.
Hi, everybody. Good evening. What a delight to be here. It's been a lot this year, hasn't it? And it's been a lot for a while. So I want to just invite us all to just take a deep breath. Just get here, feel your toes, right? This is where we are, really be able to show up with all of the parts of you. This is a big moment of change for our country, and definitely for all of us. And I just want to invite us to take a moment to honor all of the unbelievably hard work that has happened over the last few years, especially in all of the ways that honor, all of the ways that we showed up, all of the ways that we came together, all of the ways that we were fierce, that we were brave, that we held each other, and that we fought for justice. And I want to bless us all with the strength and resilience as we must do what must be done to co-create a better tomorrow, right? The work isn't magically over. There's still so much to be done. There's so many ways that we're going to need to persist, to persevere, the ways that we're going to need to draw again and again and again on the strength and love and creativity and care of this community. May it hold us, may it sustain us, may it nurture us, and may we continue to hold each other now as ever.
Thank you for your powerful message, Rabbi Ruttenberg, and for joining us here tonight. Next, it gives me great joy to introduce someone who is no stranger to the Keshet community. Kate Bornstein is an author, activist, playwright, artist, and a previous Keshet Hachamat Lev honoree, as well as a beloved friend. It's such a delight to welcome the courageous and beautiful Kate Bornstein to the program.
Good evening, my darlings. Oh, it's such a pleasure to be here with you at Keshet's first ever virtual Outstanding, and it's such a nice thing to be able to say Happy 2020. As Jews, we know what it means to be outsiders in search of a home. As LGBTQ Jews, we are all too often in the position of being outsiders within a group of outsiders. And as youth, boy, that goes triple. But tonight we are celebrating 3 Jews who work tirelessly at breaking down the barriers of homophobia, transphobia, and misogyny that for so long has kept us on the outside. Rabbi Lawson, Rabbi Moskowitz, Abby Stein, thank you. Thank you for your deep wisdom, for your kind hearts. We will do our best to live up to your example so that we will be outsiders no more and we will find home together. Big love, deep respect.
Thank you for your kind words of support, Kate. The current year of the Hebrew calendar is 5781, which reminds us that the Jewish people have been around for a long time. Now, LGBTQ folks have also been around for a long time, so it's safe to assume that as long as there have been Jews, there have been queer Jews. Given that equality, inclusion, and human dignity are central to Jewish thought, figuring out how to make LGBTQ people feel welcome in Jewish life should have been on the community's to-do list and accomplished long ago. Thankfully, Edith Klein is a changemaker who excels at getting things done. Keshet, guided by Edith's commitment to justice as a core Jewish value, has grown into a national organization able to accelerate needed social change, especially in advocating for LGBTQ rights. Through Edith's leadership, Keshet builds partnerships with thousands of rabbis, educators, and other Jewish leaders around the country and throughout North America to work toward full equality for LGBTQ Jews in Jewish life. Edith has sought from Keshet's very beginning to empower youth to cultivate proud LGBTQ Jewish identities and develop the skills to themselves be agents of change. That's the mark of a true change maker and visionary, not just affecting change in the present, but l'dor v'dor, laying the solid foundation for the next generation of change agents in the future. So yes, it has taken a few thousand years to get here when we can openly and authentically celebrate being queer and Jewish, but now we're doing it. Now we're building, affirming queer and trans Jewish communities and embracing the full diversity of Jews and Jewish lives. That's the work of Keshet, and it all grows from the vision of its president and CEO, whom I now have the great pleasure of introducing, Edith Klein.
Thank you so much, Bear. Thank you, Rabbi Ruttenberg, and thank you, Kate. And good evening, everyone. I am thrilled to welcome you to Outstanding 2020. Words truly cannot express how happy I am that I can welcome you to a celebration tonight. An evening where we can share the sweetness of relief and hope for a better tomorrow. Now, if we were in person, I know that you all would be cheering and clapping, so please feel free to do so wherever you are. These are days when we need to seize every moment we can celebrate. Of course, we know that tremendous work lies ahead, and this year has been exhausting. And yet, in the midst of all the new challenges, all the new demands upon you, you never stepped away from your commitment to Keshet and our work for full LGBTQ equality in Jewish life. Thank you. Thank you for sticking with us. Your support was a shining burst of light this year. I want to share with you 3 other glimmers of light. First, in the face of this administration's relentless assaults on LGBTQ civil rights, we saw rabbis and other Jewish community leaders take action for equality, many of them for the first time. Rabbis in particular were eager to speak out against the abuse of so-called religious freedom to justify bigotry towards LGBTQ people. Rabbi Lauren Grable Herman, a Keshet leader, and the rabbi of SAJ, Judaism that stands for all, told me, "Our Jewish tradition teaches that everyone is created b'tselem Elohim, in the image of the divine. Every person has the right to be treated with respect. And as rabbis, it is up to us to express this as a religious obligation. It is up to us to demand that everyone is treated with dignity. This is what you are making possible." Second, as many of you know, before the pandemic, Keshet hosted LGBTQ Jewish teen Shabbatonim, which are weekend retreats. These gatherings are often life-changing for queer Jewish teens. Because of COVID, of course, we had to cancel our Shabbatonim this year, but we reinvented our youth work by hosting weekly free online gatherings. These programs have been incredibly popular, and for many teens, they are a vital lifeline. We all have experienced the isolation of living through COVID. We continue to do so. Imagine the loneliness of a queer teen who isn't out, or who is out, but isn't supported by their family. We have kids who are literally taking their laptops into their childhood bedroom closets, putting earbuds in, and whispering, hoping that no one hears them. Jay, a trans teen who's come to many of our online gatherings, told us, "Being in a virtual setting where I can be validated with my name and pronouns has been so important for me and others, especially for those of us who are still closeted and aren't affirmed at home or in school. This is what you are making possible." Third, in mid-March, when everyone began sheltering in place, Keshet had 37 trainings scheduled through the end of April for staff and lay leaders at synagogues, JCCs, day schools, and other Jewish institutions. All but 2 of those institutions told us they needed to press pause on their work for LGBTQ equality because they needed to focus on their core work. On the one hand, we understood that everyone was moving into emergency mode. On the other hand, it concerned us that so many institutions were viewing work for LGBTQ equality as secondary, not as a necessity. Suddenly, many Jewish communities were reverting back to what my friend April Baskin calls their factory settings, the way they've always done things, which of course leaves a lot of people out, including queer folks. So we at Keshet did what community organizers do. We stayed in conversation. We asked staff and lay leaders at Jewish institutions, what does it mean that working for LGBTQ equality isn't part of your core work now? Who is the we who decides what work is essential? And if LGBTQ people are left out of decisions and conversations during COVID, what does that mean for what your community will look like and feel like when the pandemic is over? I'm pleased to share with you that as of June, we started to see a surge of interest in working with Keshet. When we opened registration for our first ever online leadership project, which is a year-long program of training and consultation, our enrollment filled up in less than 48 hours, and we have 8 synagogues on the wait list. Seth Gorin, Chief Education and Campus Officer at Hillel, Ontario, told us that Keshet's training gave his staff the skills to increase their LGBTQ programming during this time and to better support students who were home without family support. We're not yet seeing a full reset of those factory settings, but what we are seeing is a growing awareness that the old ways of doing work are not serving us all. They never have. And that it's time, it's way past time, to do things differently. This is what you are making possible. I want to close by noting where we were 4 years ago and where we are today. A little over 4 years ago, 2 days after the 2016 election, I got an email from Erin Schreiber, a Hillel director at a college outside of St. Louis. Erin wrote me that early that morning, she had gotten a text from a transgender student who was panicked, who was absolutely in a crisis. He talked about feeling terrified about what the next 4 years held for him. So Erin said, "I'll meet you at the Hillel office in a half hour," and she dashed off to her car. Only once she was on her way did she suddenly think to herself, "Oh no, what did I just do? I'm a mess. I'm completely in shock. How can I possibly be there for someone else?" So she walked into the Hillel building, still not knowing what she would say. And she opened the door to her office and nearly stepped on an envelope that was stuck underneath it. She opened the envelope, and inside, she found the Keshet LGBTQ safe zone stickers she had asked us for the previous week. Her student walked into the room, and she held the sticker in front of him. And she said, "Look, there is hope. We have a whole community that is standing with us." Over the past 4 years, I've often imagined a day when that student will look back on November 9th, 2016, and think to himself, on that terrible morning, when I felt so much fear for my future, I sought support from my Jewish community, and I found it. But I've also thought about the many students and others who haven't been as lucky. Over the past 4 years, we've heard from numerous day school and Hebrew school teachers, from JCC staff and others, that they were asked by their heads of school or senior rabbis or CEOs to remove their LGBTQ safe zone stickers. Why? They were told the stickers are partisan. They were told that the sticker might offend community members who support the current administration. Which brings us to the fall of 2020, when a Keshet teen leader, Rivka Schaefer, a 15-year-old student at the Idea School, a modern Orthodox high school in Teaneck, New Jersey, approached one of their teachers to talk to him about putting up an LGBTQ safe zone sticker. Rivka never thought that ultimately he would agree, but he did. And he put it right by the sign for the school's Beit Midrash, the Tech Study Center. Rivka tells me that some students have been taking the sticker down or covering it up, but Rivka keeps putting it back. And Rivka knows that their Keshet community stands with them every step of the way. Whether we're in a moment of crisis, ongoing struggle, or a time of hope and optimism, Keshet is able to meet the moment with the perseverance we need to keep building the world as it should be. And we couldn't do it without you. I could tell you more about how your support has made an impact on people's lives and communities nationwide. But right now, I want to welcome to join us Rivka Schaefer, so you can hear from them directly. As I mentioned, Rivka is 15. They're a student at the Idea School in Teaneck, New Jersey. They're a member of the school's theater club and environmental club. They're a youth group leader at their local synagogue. They served on the steering committee of the Keshet Midwest Shabbaton and now co-lead a Keshet Monday night hangout for queer Jewish teens. I am delighted for Rivka Schaefer to join us now. Thank you, Rivka.
Thank you for having me. I come from the Orthodox community, so I don't have very many queer friends. And when I came out in my Orthodox middle school in 8th grade, I was immediately branded as an outcast. I was really struggling with my Jewish and queer identity because they seemed to be in conflict. After the trauma from what happened in middle school, I was on the path of giving up my Jewish identity when I went to the Keshet East Coast Shabbaton. And everything changed. All of a sudden, I knew a ton of other queer people who were also Jewish. I now had so many friends that I could reach out to when I needed support. All of a sudden, I had found a place that accepted every part of me. One of my favorite memories from the Shabbaton took place one night after programming when a bunch of us were hanging out in my room, singing songs and strumming the guitar. I felt such a strong feeling of community and belonging. I felt like I had finally found a home. But the biggest thing that Keshet did for me was that it showed me I could be both queer and Jewish, that I can value and cherish both. That changed my life. All of a sudden, I could envision a life for myself where I stayed in the Jewish community and got a wife. Before, it was always one or the other. Keshet showed me that these two things didn't have to be in contradiction. And then the pandemic hit. Because of quarantine and social distancing, I started to feel very isolated. It's easy to feel lonely when you're not able to see and hug your friends. But Keshet started online programming, and that gave me a chance to connect with other queer Jewish teens on a weekly basis. I'm actually now interacting with other queer Jewish teens more regularly than before the pandemic. Having the chance to positively engage with people online has been super valuable to me. Keshet gave me a space where I can talk with people, laugh, and feel good, and it makes a world of difference for my mental health. Keshet also helped me to give back to the community. I met my friend Iz at the East Coast Shabbaton that was made possible by supporters like you. And together we launched a peer support program called Monday Night Hangouts, which is a safe space for teens to connect, share their ongoing struggles, and find support among friends who understand. It's been so rewarding for me to be able to help other people. Keshet changed my life, and I'm so happy that I'm able to help change other people's lives. I'm really grateful for all these spaces where I can just be myself. Now, because of Keshet, I have lots of other queer Jewish friends, and I now know that I can be happy with every part of me.
Thank you so much, Rivka, for speaking to us today. When I was a teenager and newly out, many parts of the story that you just told felt very familiar to me. And it's a source of enormous and ongoing gratitude that Keshet exists now, so that your experience can be considerably different and better than mine was. So 2020 has been a year, even though it has seemed like several decades. I have it on good authority that time is still progressing in a somewhat calendrical fashion. In addition to addressing a worldwide pandemic, LGBTQ rights have been challenged at the state and federal level. Through it all, Keshet has remained steadfast in their commitment to advocating for LGBTQ rights, creating Jewish communities of true belonging for queer and trans Jews, and giving our teens the space to be their full, authentic selves, as Rivka so movingly just spoke about. I'm very excited to share this video highlighting Keshet's work. It spotlights just a few of the thousands upon thousands of folks on the ground that are partnering with Keshet for full LGBTQ equality in Jewish life.
First coronavirus death reported so far in the U.S.
White House Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany is conducting her first press conference.
Her name, Breonna Taylor, say his name, George Floyd.
The conversation about racism in America has gripped the world.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg has died.
Next Supreme Court nominee, Judge Amy Coney Barrett.
Same-sex marriage suddenly a hot topic at the U.S. Supreme Court.
Eliminating an Obama-era regulation prohibiting discrimination in healthcare against transgender patients.
Faith-based adoption organizations to deny their services to LGBTQ couples.
The whole country is seeing rollback in rights, and our immigrant communities, our people of color communities are all feeling this pain right now. So we are trying our hardest to fight back against the laws that create inequality and trying very hard to promote those that will level the playing field for all people in this country.
The impact about being trained by Keshet is that there's an on-ramp to be able to understand the effects of lobbying and how to fight against using religion to fight against equality and to fight against freedom. I, first of all, want to be a voice for people who don't have a voice. Talk to people who can really make a difference on a legislative level. That this isn't even up for debate. That people don't use religion as a way to take people's rights away, but instead to propel the world forward.
If
If you want people to feel that they belong to the community, they have to feel known and accepted for their authentic selves. Because of Keshet, our community is now a more inclusive, embracing community of people with LGBTQ identities. We are grateful to Keshet that they helped us to do this through expanding our library to provide resources that are LGBTQ inclusive, to update our website, and then actually to change our physical space in ways that reflect who we want to be, what our culture is, and how important LGBTQ inclusivity is to us. Because of Keshet, our congregation is now stronger and more relevant.
I was in a very difficult place. I was struggling also a lot with internalized transphobia, and I believe that it was some kind of punishment. And so at the Shabbaton, it was the first time that I saw my transness as a holy thing and not an abomination. My life has been so transformed by this group and these experiences. And I think that an organization like Keshet is doing the work to bridge the gap and prove that you can be trans and Jewish. Keshet's done a great job at maintaining virtual programs. It's important to have these little safe spaces where folks get to connect. 2020, to me, more than anything, has meant transcendence. All of this difficulty and struggle to emerge, rising above it.
It's all of our responsibility, frankly, anybody who's part of a Jewish community, how we can help everyone feel included and that they have something of value to offer to the community and that they belong to the community.
And now, welcome back to the stage, Keshet President and CEO, Idit Klein.
Thank you for making all of that possible. I am so grateful to you for giving generously to Keshet. I now want to take a moment to also thank the Keshet staff members who are behind this work. In such a challenging year, our staff have shown remarkable strength and resilience. I want to acknowledge them by name. Amram Altsman, Zora Berman, Jamie Brody, Rabbi Micah Bakyael, Amy Cobb, James Cohen, John Cohen, Stephen Davis, Zane Diamond, Suzanne Feinspan, Lenny Goldstein, Dylan Goodman, Leah Copperman, Jamie Crass, River McMccann, Eugene Patron, Jordan Palavin, Emily Saltzman, Essie Shachar Hill, David Soboff, Emily Solomon, and Dubs Weinblatt. I want to especially recognize the communications team, River McMccann, James Cohen, Eugene Patron, Jordan Palavin, and David Soboff, each of whom has gone above and beyond to make tonight possible. Thank you. And finally, an extra big thanks to Stephen Davis, our events manager, whose magic and very, very hard work brought you outstanding 2020. Thank you to the entire Keshet staff for all you do. I'm proud to share that because of your support, we will make it through this year without any furloughs, layoffs, or cuts to salaries and benefits. That means no reduction in outreach support and leadership development with queer Jewish youth, no decrease in mobilizing Jewish communities to fight for LGBTQ rights, and no drop-off in our work to make every Jewish community in the country a place where queer Jews can feel at home. I ask you now to help us stay the course. We simply cannot do so without you. I know that most of you made a donation to be here tonight. Thank you. And I ask you now to give again and to give generously. Take a moment to find the donate button. It's a white rectangle bordered in magenta. and it's the one in caps on the left side of your screen. If you prefer not to give online, you can send a check to the address that is now on the screen. Financial experts say that 2021 will be even tougher than 2020 for nonprofits. So I'm asking you to help us enter 2021 strong. You may have heard me say before, and I will say it again, I fully believe that one day in our lifetimes, Keshet will no longer be needed. But we are not yet at that day. So many LGBTQ Jewish teens continue to feel profoundly alone. So many rabbis and Jewish educators need tools, training, and guidance in order to create change in their communities. And when new assaults on LGBTQ rights emerge, and inevitably they will, the Jewish community will need Keshet's help to fight for policies that safeguard all of us, not just some of us. Looking ahead, we hope to build Jewish communities where queer youth and people of all ages don't just feel safe, where we don't just survive. Our goal is for LGBTQ Jewish people to thrive. With you as our partner, I know that we will get there. Please, think about the work that is needed. Think about your commitment to getting it done. And click on the donate button on the left side of your screen. Together, we will build a better world. Thank you for giving generously.
We are delighted to welcome stand-up comedian, actress, television writer, producer, and all-around funny Jew, Judy Gold.
Thank you, Keshet, and to the outstanding 2020 honorees, thank you for all you do to forward LGBTQ Jewish life and thriving. I'm very happy to be here because you know what? I love Keshet. I love Keshet. Why? Why do you love Keshet, Judy? I don't know. Maybe because I got an award from them? Huh? Come on. The Hachamat Lev Award from 2012. And I cherish this. You know why? Because I love Keshet. And you should too. Now, I know I just followed the Please Give Us Money, the Kol Nidre pledge. How annoying is that Kol Nidre pledge? The guilt they pull, and without you, but seriously, without you, there'd be no Keshet. So, I know we're in a pandemic, and I want to say it has been, as a menopausal lesbian, it has been an incredible experience having to spend 24 hours a day with my partner, who's also a menopausal lesbian. So 2 menopausal lesbians quarantined during a pandemic. I mean, what more can you ask for? Oh, and we're both Jewish. So, there you go. So there are positive things. But listen, it's such an honor to be here. It sucks that it's virtual. But just think, it's not going to be virtual next year, and we have a new president. So, Gazai Gazunt, enjoy the rest of the evening. Thank you to Keshet. I love you. If you didn't donate, you might want to. You know what I'm saying? Because we need you. Shalom!
I thought staying in with my family was a challenge. Thank you for your continued support, Judy, and thank you for keeping us laughing. Just a technical note, if I may. If people are having difficulty with their screen freezing, you can quickly refresh. It will not kick you all the way back out and require you to sign back in. Shindig is clever, and it will take you right back to the main screen, where you can rejoin the action already in progress. Keshet has had to pivot to an online gala and make changes to our program. But one thing has remained constant: the desire to honor and celebrate Rabbi Sandra Lawson, Abby Stein, and Rabbi Mike Moskowitz. Our first honoree of the evening is Rabbi Sandra Lawson, and I invite you to please enjoy this video introduction.
yeah, a black kid who's secular is now a religious figure. I was a kid who grew up in the Midwest. So the default religion was Christianity. For me, religion as a child just meant Christian. I didn't really know there were other religions. And the Christianity that I saw at the time, I wanted nothing to do with it. So I adopted into Judaism, I converted in, and I was just very happy being a Jew in the pew and singing and participating and doing all that. And I was asked to do things, and eventually I found myself on the board, and I found myself on the executive board, and I found myself being the first vice president of the synagogue when I started to feel this unimaginable pull to go to rabbinical school. And I found myself in interfaith spaces with clergy, and then I liked the interfaith work. I liked learning about other traditions other than mine, and really felt like I could do better as a rabbi. And I also wanted to bring more attention to the racial diversity that exists within the Jewish community. All those ideas that people have in their mind of what a Jew looks like, sadly, are stereotypes. Jews can look like anything, really, because I'm not white, I'm not male, and those are two things right now that make being a Jewish leader challenging, and then you add queer on top of that. I have heard someone say that the area was not ready for a black queer rabbi. Someone had decided for me that I was not a good fit for the community instead of letting the process go where it's supposed to go. The change that I am working for in the Jewish community is to help the Jewish community realize how racially and diverse and awesome it is to be Jewish. I think one of the reasons why I can do that is because I am someone situated on the margins of Jewish life. I can see things. I notice when maybe the queer students are coming, or maybe the brown students are coming, and maybe I need to go find them. And so if we don't find a way to meet people where they are, we're gonna lose more. I wanna create a space where anyone who wants to come is welcome. And diversity is embraced. Diversity makes us stronger, not weaker. I'm only thinking about trying to put more progressive Judaism out there.
Good evening. My name is Seth Marnin, and it is with enormous pride that I serve as the chair of Keshet's Board of Directors. Tonight, I have the honor to present to you Keshet's Outstanding 2020 honorees. Putting a more progressive Judaism out in the world, no doubt requires both wisdom and spirit, lev and chachma, head and heart. In Torah, the phrase chachem lev refers to a special combination of skill and emotion, the wisdom of the head and the wisdom of the heart, to accomplish the building of the holiest of spaces, an enormous task. It is therefore quite fitting that tonight we honor Rabbi Sandra Lawson with the Chacham Lev Award. She demonstrates the truest meaning of applying head and heart to the holiest of work, pursuing justice in our Jewish community and the wider world. Rabbi Lawson, who is the Associate Chaplain for Jewish Life at Elam University, is a pioneering community builder, racial justice activist and educator who has revolutionized Jewish life. As one of the first queer women rabbis of color, Rabbi Lawson is comfortable breaking down barriers and using her story to change perception of who is a Jew and who can be a rabbi, and indeed that we have always been a multiracial, multicultural people. Rabbi Lawson works every day to dismantle racism and calls on all of us to join her. Given her accomplishments, it is unsurprising that Keshet featured Rabbi Lawson in our LGBTQ Heroes poster series, celebrating LGBTQ Jews who transform the world through their words, deeds, and lives. And as if that was not enough, Rabbi Lawson is a veteran, vegan, fitness buff, talented musician, wife, and mom to 3 happy dogs. Her steadfast leadership is something to behold and a powerful motivator for young queer Jews. Many look to her to represent and speak for multiple communities as part of building a more inclusive and just Jewish world. And day after day, she rises to this challenge. That is why Keshet is proud to present our Outstanding 2020 Hachmat Lev Award to Rabbi Sandra Lawson.
Hi, there's one of my children right there. First of all, I want to show you this. I don't know if you can see it with the light. I really can't tell you all what an awesome award this is. I have my little children near me. You know, this has been a really hard year, as many have said, and many of us want to do over. And one of the good things about the Jewish calendar is that the Jewish year starts before the secular year. So we have already been gifted with an opportunity for a fresh start. And speaking for myself, with the election results, I felt like I could breathe for the first time in a very long time. In fact, when we finally announced the winner and we knew that Kamala Harris would be the next vice president and Joe Biden would be the next president, I cried, which meant that I had been holding a lot. And what I want, my wish, my prayer for all of us is that we recognize that all the biases that exist in our society, whether we're talking about anti-Semitism, racism, homophobia, they come from the same pot. Because our society is designed to privilege one group of people over another group of people. And when we realize that all marginalized groups suffer because of that, we can truly live up to our values and recognize that diversity makes us stronger, makes us better. And for the next generation of queer Jews, queer rabbis, Black and brown rabbis, I want them to have more opportunities and less biases. I want our Jewish communities to be less racist, and I want our Jewish communities to be less homophobic. So when those rabbis that are in rabbinical school, by the way, if you don't know this now, every single rabbinical school has a Black person in their program. And I want our communities to honor the real diversity that is the Jewish people. And I want our Jewish communities to be, as I said before, less racist and less homophobic. So when they become ordained, they can just go out in the world and be their best and true selves. And I'm just grateful that I've been given this opportunity and been given a platform, and that people are willing to listen to the words that I have to say. And so, yes, I am a rabbi and I like to talk, but I will close with thank you. Thank you so much.
Wow, mazel tov to Rabbi Sandra Lawson on this well-deserved honor. Your leadership is inspiring. Next, a special thank you from Elon University student and rising musical star Eliza Spear will share a musical tribute to Rabbi Lawson.
Hello, my name is Eliza Spear. Congratulations to Rabbi Lawson on this incredible award. On behalf of Elon University and beyond, we are so thankful for all that you do for the LGBTQIA community, and we look forward to your continued accomplishments. This song is for you. I've got something inside that I'm willing to prove. You call me a fool. I've always been told to jump, but the second I do, you call me a fool. I'm stuck in the middle, and you say I'm too little. What if I am? I'm a runner, but I'm tied down. I'm tied down by the hands of this town. And I feel alone here that there has to be more here. There has to be. I followed myself down a path less chosen, 'cause darling, I thought I was worth it. And I spent this whole year bringing you along. Won't you sing my song? Oh, I'm stuck in the middle, and you say I'm too little. What if I am? I'm a runner, but I'm tied down. I'm tied down by the hands of this town, and I feel alone here. I'm a fighter, I'm trapped in a cage. I'm screaming at myself every day that there has to be more here. There has to be more. There has to be more. So let me run on these free grounds. This town wasn't built to hold me down. I'm tired of feeling alone. I'm saying I'm stronger than the walls of this cage. I'm screaming at you every day. Don't you think that there's more here? Because there has to be.
Our next special guest needs no introduction. She's an award-winning stand-up comedian, actor, singer, writer, one of our favorite Jews, all the way from Los Angeles. It's Sarah Silverman.
Hey Keshet, it's your old pal Sarah Silverman saying congratulations and thank you for all that you do for the LGBTQ community and Jewish life. And congratulations to the honorees tonight, Abby Stein, Rabbi Sandra Lawson, and Rabbi Mike Moskowitz. Keep doing what you're doing, and thanks.
Well, so this is truly amazing. Apparently, you all are so generous, and you overwhelmed the donation system that goes with Shindig. Good news, even if you got an error message, your information was captured, and if there's any issue, someone will reach out to you. But I mean, that's amazing. And I have to say, I've never, ever received that kind of a cut-in message to say, can you please tell people that they've been so generous that they broke the donation button? So, all my heart to say thank you to all of you for that. You may have seen Abby Stein in Vogue magazine. You may have seen her speaking at the Women's Rights Rally in DC. You may have seen her Shana Punim on bookshelves across the country. I invite you to take a moment with me now to learn more about our next honoree, activist, author, and teacher, Abby Stein.
I think a lot of people who talk about coming out talk about an aha moment. To me, it kind of happened almost the other way around. I definitely had that understanding very early on that I'm a girl, and then had to deal with almost an aha moment of kind of realizing that no one else agrees with me. The message that I got in the community was very clear that this ain't something to talk about. I was born and raised in the Hasidic community in Williamsburg, and I think specifically the way to look on it though is I definitely am not the way I was raised. The Hasidic community in their minds are trying to recreate the shtetl lives of Eastern Europe. It means full and total devotion to their understanding of Jewish laws and customs, with a very strong emphasis on customs being almost just as much as Jewish law. And I think another part that really impacted me was the extreme gender segregation. I was unaware that LGBTQ people existed. I knew that gay people supposedly exist because we studied it in the Torah, in the Bible. But it was always taught in a way that made me think that that doesn't really exist anymore. I was being raised as a boy. I was convinced I wasn't, but I had no words or language, or I didn't even know the word transgender until I went online for the first time at 20. Googling for the first time if a boy can turn into a girl. That taught me that trans people existed. At the time, I was far from ready to come out as a woman. I wasn't even ready to leave the community. That made me realize I'm never gonna get anywhere in life. Forget about being successful. I'm talking just about survival, just about living a normal life if I don't come out. But I finally started transition in September of 2015, and then I came out to my dad. And I will say his ultimate reaction was, do you think that it's okay to be trans and Jewish? Well, it seems so. In part thanks to Keshet. We have entire organizations and communities that are beautiful and thriving. Our goal is to learn to celebrate, not just separately as Jews, separately as LGBTQ people, but celebrate the intersection because it really is beautiful. I wanted to change a community that never spoke about LGBTQ people. Just getting people to talk about it is a good first step. I've in the past 5 years given somewhere around 400 to 500 public speeches. At least half of them, if not more, have been within the Jewish community. These small pockets that Keshet creates where people could fully be who they are, it's possible to have that on a global scale. I can say 100% that I am a better queer person because of my Judaism. I'm a better Jewish person because of my queerness. And being able to bring these together and to teach that to people, to show that to people, is one of the most powerful things that we can do.
Abby, it is without a doubt that we are all better Jews, better queer people, and better allies because of you. Abby is a Jewish educator, author, speaker, and activist. Raised in a Hasidic family of rabbinic descent, she is a direct descendant of the Baal Shem Tov, the founder of Hasidic Judaism. Abby attended yeshiva, and by the time she was 20, she completed a rabbinical degree. In 2012, she left the Hasidic world to explore a self-determined life, and in 2015, came out publicly as a woman of trans experience. Since then, she has raised support and awareness for trans rights and those seeking to leave ultra-Orthodox communities. Even though Abby spoke Yiddish almost exclusively until she was 20, she enrolled in Columbia University's School of General Studies and went on to graduate with a degree in gender studies and political science. Today, she is a much sought-after speaker at universities, synagogues, and Jewish organizations across the world, as well as at major secular events, including the 2019 Women's March on March in DC, and recent protests and rallies calling for the end of racial injustice. Though Abby has been profiled in media, including the New York Times and CNN, she gives fuller voice to her story in her recent acclaimed memoir, Becoming Eve, My Journey from Ultra-Orthodox Rabbi to Transgender Woman. Though not yet 30 years old, Abby has already mustered a degree of fortitude that would be enough for multiple lives. She shares her strengths with many queer young people who are trying to find their way in the world without the support of family or community. This is a path Abby knows all too well. However, with courage and compassion, Abby forged ahead and learned how Jewish life and community could be supportive of her truth, rather than an obstacle to her journey of self-discovery. This is rare knowledge that Abby shares with our community and the world. In pursuing her truth, living an out and proud life, and advocating on behalf of other queer Jews, Abby has demonstrated the skill and spirit of head and heart that embody Chachmat Lev. I am therefore honored to present Keshet's outstanding 2020 Chachmat Lev Award to Abby Stein.
Well, thank you, Seth. I get this hilarious, by the way. I have to point out, my roommate is listening in from the other room, and he's giving me an applause. So that's really nice. I actually get a live applause. I first want to thank everyone, specifically Edith, everyone at Keshet, but also everyone in my life. I went from a life of not just being alone, thinking I'm alone, but being told that I was alone. Being told by my own parents that if I leave the community, I will never find love. I will never find another community. No one is ever going to care about what I have to say. Forget about doing anything public. Forget about talking to a few hundred people. Forget about anything. Simply having a life. And I'm beyond grateful to everyone. Now, I had like a few notes prepared. I never write a full script, but I had a few notes, but I'm going to throw that out. I want to go off script for a minute, if you all would allow me, because as I was listening to Seth kind of paraphrasing these words of like, I'm a better Jew for being queer, I'm a better queer person for being Jewish, and well, Seth claims we're all better because of me. I'm not so sure I agree with that, but simply that we are better people. And there's one thing that I never forget. Every time I walk into a room, physical or in the over 100 virtual rooms I've been in since March, where I get to speak, share my story, share some thoughts. And the words of my dad, when I came out to him in the apartment of a progressive rabbi on the Upper West Side, on November 11, 2015, so literally a few days more than 5 years ago, he told me, his like biggest comeback was, do you think this is okay with Judaism? Well, it was kind of a rhetorical question. The answer was supposed to be no. And here's the kicker. I have daddy issues, everyone. I'm not denying it. I'm not hiding it. It's a fact. But in a good way today. What Keshet has taught me and so many other people, I will never forget. Some of the first public things that I did was a 2-piece article that happened thanks to Keshet. I was an honorary chair at the Keshet event 2 years ago. I have used the Keshet website numerous times for the hundreds of people who have reached out, both from Orthodox background and from totally secular backgrounds, who are trying to find a space for themselves with gender, with religion, with Judaism, in whichever way that works for them. The reality of the message that each and every one of you here tonight are saying, thanks to Keshet, that we're not just okay, we don't just want to help LGBTQ people, we want to help LGBTQ people in the context of Jewish life. That is one of the most beautiful experiences and something that is the strongest response to anyone who is trying to tell LGBTQ youth and adults that you cannot be who you are and be Jewish. And here's my pitch, and sorry for, I know that's Edith's job, but if you want to send an even stronger message today, I know the system crashed, but you could all tomorrow or in a few days, because every small donation that you make to Keshet is not just actually helping the work that they will actually use that money for, but it's also the message that it's sending, that this is what we want to have. This is what we want to do. A Jewish community that doesn't tolerate trans people. Tolerance is for lactose and nuts, not for people. We want a Jewish community that celebrates LGBTQ people because of who we are, not in spite of who we are. Thank you all.
Abby, your journey and work are truly an inspiration to us all. In your honor, we have a special performance by trans, non-binary, Jewish singer-songwriter Mal Blum, a fellow New Yorker. Up next, Mal has released 5 albums since 2008, toured the US, and will be releasing another single in just a matter of days called Nobody Waits. Please enjoy the music of Mal Blum.
Hi, everybody at Keshet and the outstanding 2020 Gala. My name is Mal Blum. Keshet asked me to play a song for you, but before I do, I just wanted to say Mazel Tov to Abby. Abby, thank you so much for everything you do for the LGBT community. Congratulations on the award. You definitely deserve it, and have a great night. Another year already how you hoped that it would come. All the days and weeks unfolding as we buttoned up our coats and headed home. But what's a home? Another place you never go, another space nobody knows the way you are when you're alone. And I'm alone and you're alone again this year. I'm alone and you're alone again this year. And there are things still left to say. I've got phrases, there are things still left to say. I've got phrases anyway. Do you miss me when I'm not around? 'Cause you don't see me when I'm here. I'm like a ghost of myself already. If I could, I would disappear. But I'm still here and you're still here. We're all still here. I'm still here and you're still here. We're all still here. And there are things still left to say. I've got phrases, there are things still left to say. I've got phrases, you're afraid. What are you afraid of? Anyway, should I explain myself? I'd rather read the dictionary. Why does everybody else feel closer to me than I can feel to them? Though my reticence was necessary, do you really know me well? Do you think that we are friends? Are we friends? There are things still left to say. I've got phrases, there are things still left to say. I've got phrases, I've got phrases. I've got phrases. I've got phrases, I've got phrases. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your night, and thanks for everything you do for the community as well, Keshet. Thank you. Bye.
We have a special message coming in next, all the way from Israel. You may know Amit Rahav as Yanki Shapiro in the Emmy award-winning Netflix show Unorthodox, which, incidentally, Abby Stein played an extra on set. You may not know this, but Amit's portrayal of Aviv on the Israeli TV show Flashback made history in 2016 as it was the first gay character to come out on an Israeli children's show, and the response was overwhelmingly positive.
Hey guys, how are you? This is Amit Rahav here. I just got familiar with your organization called Keshet, where you help the LGBTQ Jewish community in North America, and I just want to show some respect and love to you guys because this is so important, and I'm so grateful that there is such an organization. And you know, the LGBTQ community and the Jewish community are very dear to my heart, and when you combine them, magic happens. So thank you so much, Keshet. And I hope you're all safe and happy and healthy wherever you are, and who knows, we might even meet soon. So I'm sending you all the love here from Israel, from boiling Tel Aviv, and take care.
Our final honoree of the evening is the true definition of an ally. Rabbi Mike Moskowitz works tirelessly to create a safer, more just world for all of us. We're so proud of the work that he's doing and hope you learn a little more about this incredible rabbi by watching this next video.
I work in allyship and advocacy, and I really see my role as trying to bridge the tradition that we have within the sources and the methodology to the questions that we have at the intersection of the trans experience of gender identity and sexual orientations. It kind of came very quickly when someone said to me that they were trans, and when I said, like, how do you know? They said, like, I just am. Again, it's not complicated. And that space between the simplicity of that awareness and my inability to grasp any of it kind of put me in a panic of reaching out to everybody who would be willing to talk to me. There really was not any rabbi in the ultra-Orthodox, the Orthodox world, who was trying to give language to these experiences. I think historically people have thought that they needed to choose between those two identities, between a queer identity and a religious identity. And now we've seen in the recent past, people are not willing to choose because those are both equally true parts of themselves. And so when people want to stay in Orthodox communities and they also want to acknowledge their queer identity, there are questions within Jewish law and also around kind of the culture, being able to be accepting and to learn about these experiences that might be different from their own. I get questions every day from all over the world for people asking, I'm coming out to my family in Orthodox spaces. Would you be willing to speak to my parents? I do a lot of interfaith writing and teaching. And then I've published now almost 100 articles answering questions in Jewish law and trying to figure out how people can be more sensitive to gender dynamics. There's been a lot of pushback, both professionally, organizations that I was a part of that threw me out, rabbis who won't return my calls or have written publicly against me. And so when we think about being an ally, we're actually really being an ally to God. God operates through us. We are partnered with God. We are allying with God to do the divine will and to manifest that goodness in this world. When thinking about having to answer for all of my actions, I feel much more comfortable having to defend the compassion of inclusivity and love to answer the questions that we don't know, as opposed to having to answer for excluding people.
Passion, inclusivity, and love really only begin to capture how Rabbi Mike Moskowitz moves through the world. And it is those attributes, among others, that make it so fitting to be honoring Rabbi Moskowitz this evening with the Landris Courage for Dignity Award. The Landris Courage for Dignity Award was created by Sean Landris to honor the commitment of his parents, Dr. Peter Zichrona Livracha and Renata Landris, to the equal dignity of all people. This award is given to those who exhibit public courage as an ally in the work of advancing and assuring the inclusion of LGBTQ people, and who often use their privilege, even at personal risk, to ensure dignity for others without privilege. Rabbi Moskowitz is both deeply traditional and radically progressive. A recipient of not one, not two, but three ultra-Orthodox ordinations, Rabbi Moskowitz is a gifted scholar and teacher who uses his credentials and vast intellect to pursue justice and repair our very broken world. Rabbi Moskowitz is the scholar in residence for trans and queer Jewish studies at Congregation Beit Simchat Torah in New York, the world's largest LGBTQ synagogue. Credit for his presence there goes to Rabbi Sharon Kleinbaum, who first met him in the back of a police van in Washington, D.C., after they and some 100 Jewish leaders had been arrested for civil disobedience while protesting to protect dreamers from deportation. Now, while you might imagine a scholar in residence spending his days and nights deeply immersed in the books of our people, well, you wouldn't be wrong. But Rabbi Moskowitz's waking hours are not solely spent studying and teaching. Far from it, really. He spends his days, and indeed his nights, connecting with people from across the country and around the world, largely from Orthodox and ultra-Orthodox communities, LGBTQ Jews, the parents of LGBTQ children, the children of LGBTQ parents, people who are often struggling deeply to reconcile their Jewish and queer identities. Rabbi Moskowitz leverages his ultra-Orthodox, 3 times ordained, cisgender, heterosexual white privilege to amplify our trans voices. When he writes and speaks, he puts our lives and our dignity first. And his efforts have not been without costs to him personally and professionally. And yet that hasn't stopped him. His work elevates us all, queer people and allies alike, all the while insisting it's not that complicated. Yet I think we all know that even when we're doing the work God expects of us, it takes courage to put yourself on the front lines, challenging deeply held beliefs and expectations. And Rabbi Moskowitz chooses to do that every single day. I am therefore honored to present the Landris Courage for Dignity Award to my friend, Rabbi Mike Moskowitz.
Thank you so much, Seth, for the kind and very generous words. You have been a friend and a Rebbe to me in so many ways, and I am deeply and eternally grateful. It's a distinct honor and pleasure to be recognized along with Rabbi Lawson and Rabbi Stein. Thank you to the host committee for making this evening possible, and especially to Rabbi Sharon Kleinbaum. Without you and CBST, I wouldn't be here. My Torah and our Torah are her Torah. I so appreciate the holy work of Keshet that we have all benefited from, and I particularly want to thank Adit, James, and Joy. You have all been so generous with your time and resources in supporting me, and I just want to take this opportunity to say thank you. We have just begun the Hebrew month of Kislev. According to the early mystical work, Sefer Yetzirah, the month of Kislev corresponds to the astrological sign Sagittarius, which in Hebrew is Keshet. My Hebrew is better than the Greek. Sefer Yetzirah also associates the month of Kislev with the Hebrew letter Samech. Rabbi Akiva explains that this letter, which looks like a circle and is the Jewish symbol for equality, stands for Somech L'chol HaNoiflim, supporting all those who have fallen. Our rabbis observe that the word for life, breath, vitality, and soul, neshama, has the same letters in the same order as the word neshama, which means empty, desolate, and void. The only difference is the vowels. Neshama has a patach under the shin. I don't know if you can see the Keshet colors here. Just a horizontal line, while neshama has a kamatz under the shin. Also a horizontal line, but this time with a vertical one under it. How can these two nearly identical words have such opposite meanings? Our tradition teaches that often the difference between feeling alone and abandoned, God forbid, and being filled with life is just a little support. Keshet supports all of us in our efforts to make the Jewish community a safe and welcoming space for LGBTQ Jews and their families. Keshet is both the samach and the patach, providing the assistance to bring life, vitality, and soul to our synagogues and communal spaces. And by focusing on Jewish queer youth, Keshet supports our future. I'm honored to be here tonight with all of you who support the crucial work that Keshet does. May we continue to support each other and work towards God's vision of a perfected world. Thank you.
Thank you for being such an incredible ally, Rabbi Mike. As a tribute to you, I am delighted to bring you a performance by star of stage and screen, Steven Skybell. You may know him from Wicked or The Full Monty on Broadway, but we most recently loved him as Tevye in the Yiddish production of Fiddler on the Roof.
Hi everybody, it's Steven Skybell, Tevye from the Yiddish Fiddler on the Roof, and I want to join in tonight and help celebrate Keshet and also honor Rabbi Mike Moskowitz. Rabbi Mike, Mazel Tov, this is for you. Thank you for all the work you do for the LGBTQ Jewish community. Und jeder Gewirr in Stadt wird kommen zu und fragen mir, Punkt wie bei Schleume Hamelech, geht nicht zu mir, ich bet, kratzt die Bord, Tevye, sagt der Wort, Tevye. Auf die Scheile euch der Rove, die Payes dreht, bye, 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 bye. falls they kein Schum nafgemine sie mein Entfer hat a Tam. Wer ist reich, versteht Chazon es euch. Wenn ich bin reich, hab ich Sichtzeit und ich geh dreimal a Tag in Schule rein. Und ich kauf mir a Stott bei der Misrachwand. Und ich lern Schaas und Poskim mit die fromme Jiden. Gott in Juchen wird das sein. Efter nur in unser heilig Land. Wenn ich bin a Rothschild, bum. Ganze Tag wollte ich sich bum. Wenn ich bin a reicher Mann, an den kalten Wasser, nicht reingetan, bum. Gott was warft von Himmel uns der Mann, beschließt, ich bleibe nur ein Mann. Was wollt schon gestört bei dir den Plan? Wenn ich bin a reicher Mann.
Well, that was an amazing way to end our time together. Steven Skybell, what a performance. I've seen a lot of things on my small screen over the course of this pandemic, but that was so exciting. I want to thank everybody for being here with us. I also want to say that the donate button has recovered from its brief overwhelm. You can donate now. We would love for you to donate now. Nothing is stopping you from donating again. If you just feel like you'd like to have the experience another time, every donation helps further the amazing work that Keshet does in our communities. Keshet would like to invite you to stay here on Shindig. You can mingle, connect with other people. You can wish the honorees Mazel Tov. You can use the little arrow button to click yourself over and join a conversation with anyone you see recognized, anyone who looks good to you, anyone that you'd like to wish congratulations and Mazel Tov to tonight. For people who are watching this on their computers, there's a white toolbar on the bottom of your screen, and there's an icon on the left with 3 little heads. When you hover over it, it will read participants. Everyone on the event is listed there. You can search for an individual using the search function, or even put in a location and see who might be nearby. You can easily interact with anyone in the session, video chat, up to 6 people in one conversation, make new friends, find who's near you, congratulate tonight's honorees. Also, the second icon from the left is the text chat. You can send private messages that way. Listen, schmooze, enjoy the hundreds of other amazing LGBTQ Jews and allies who've joined us for this extraordinary event. Send in your donations if you haven't already. We really need them to continue this amazing work, and we're so grateful for every person who's donated and every nickel you've given. Have a great time, and I wish you all an amazing night. Good night.